Premier League has kicked back off and we've got another game to cover. This time Newcastle versus Manchester City. Man City coming off the draw with Arsenal, one that we covered already, a very combative game, and this one was very, very similar. Newcastle again were looking to come back with a vengeance after their last game, and it was a game that played out with a lot of tension, quite competitive, but we'll go through all that went on and we'll cover it in detail. So starting off the game, obviously Man City were coming into this game without Rodri, a massive miss. Another player who wasn't there was Kevin De Bruyne. They set up similar in nature to how they set up with Arsenal. We'll just cover the lineups very, very quickly, with Haaland starting good again in behind, Grealish actually coming into the team, Silva also in the team. This was quite a change in terms of not having Savinho in the team, who caused quite a lot of problems for Arsenal. That was a little bit of a surprise for me. Grealish played really, really well when he came on against Arsenal, and him starting wasn't the issue. I think a player like Savinho, a player that was more direct like a Doku, should be coupled with a player like a Grealish or a Silva. Having both of them can sometimes lead to, it can work, but I think in this instance maybe a quicker change could have been made to get Silva maybe on the inside and Savinho or Doku out quicker. We'll talk about the changes that Pep made, but again I think setting up in that way kind of limited City a little bit. They started with Kovacic and Lewis in the midfield. Again, another change here, obviously with Rodri being out, Lewis coming and Kovacic also playing, so a lot of change in the midfield as well. And you look at the two midfields, Bruno, Joe Linton, Tonali. I mean, you could argue, say this is definitely as combative or more combative midfield, but also in terms of quality as well. It's comparable in terms of the abilities of a Bruno Guimaraes to the midfielders of a Rico Lewis, a Kovacic, Tonali as well. Very good players. Joe Linton being very combative in his own way, and so there's a lot of quality there. Defensively, Newcastle were also strong throughout the game. They had their problems, yes. Shaw getting into with Grealish, got him on the yellow card. Grealish was getting into little spats here and there, but was also playing a really quality game, and his involvement was what led to the first goal. Brilliant wing play, tuckering in the left back Trippier, who was struggling at points defensively to deal with Jack Grealish, and then he fed the ball into Joseph Guardiola, who was absolutely amazing. I mean, the ability that he has with his feet, he's a footballer. He's not just a defender, and he wiggles past the Newcastle defence and slots the ball past Pope with absolute ease. It was a brilliant goal from him, and again it shows his quality. I think he's got the most goal contributions out of a defender. I think he's got like 6 in the last year or so, which is amazing in terms of what he's done. And those two players, Jack Grealish and Guardiola, have been unsung heroes at times for Man City. There's been times where City have not been able to find the lock for there's times that City have not been able to find the key for a certain lock, and Jack Grealish has been that person, and there's times that Guardiola has been that person as well. So that goal set Man City up, and if you looked at how Newcastle were progressing, it didn't look like they would necessarily have the ability to get back into the game, but the way they came out in the second half was very oppressive, very aggressive, very direct, pressing very hard. The work from Gordon was one that you had to be really impressed by. He was obviously starting as a striker. Isak wasn't available, and his role was one of a pressing forward, continue to seek for those opportunities, put pressure on Diaz, on Akanji in a way that you might not be able to from a strength perspective, but in terms of harrying them and worrying them, you definitely can, and that's something that led to the first, and that's something that led to the equaliser. Gordon bursting through and Ederson taking him out. Again, it was sloppy from Ederson. It's not the first time, and again, I mean, he puts his team in a difficult position. The defense from Man City wasn't exceptional at that time either. Gordon steps up for the penalty, slots it away perfectly, and shows his quality once again. And yeah, I was all around impressed by him, the work from him and Murphy. The game was really competitive, feisty to a degree. I think it was another battle for Man City. I've been in the fire 2 games in a row against 2 teams who have set up quite similar. There was times I saw Newcastle with 6 behind the ball, quite frustrating. Man City trying to get that advantage, trying to find that gap as they were looking to do against Arsenal. And it's a point gained, I would say, for both teams. I don't think neither team played necessarily poorly. Newcastle were looking for that moment and they found it, and so they would definitely say it's a point gain. Man City will say, you know, potentially a point lost from a mistake. They would hope for to be in the position to, you know, take that 1-0 win and hold on to it. However, that wasn't the position that they were left in. We'll look at this, a couple of the subs. Phil Foden coming off the bench. Quite surprising that he's not starting these games. I guess surprising from his stature and winning Player of the Year last season, but in terms of how Pep has used him, this isn't too dissimilar. He would use him where necessary, and I think Phil Foden's best ability is his ball striking. He's not being able to get his shots off as well as he would normally want to. The space isn't there. That could be due to not having, you know, midfield players of Kevin De Bruyne's ability, Rodri's ability to give him the space that is required, or it just may be early stages of the seasoning and him needing to adjust. Doku and Savinho came on, I think, too late. This substitution probably needed to happen midway through the 60s, early 70s, but 80 minutes onwards, you're not giving them enough time. When Savinho did come on, he was really impressive. From a Newcastle standpoint, Livramento, Willock and Longstaff all came on, and yeah, they put in good shifts. No one was overly impressive from my perspective, but again, players who can give you good quality and continue to get the game tick over, and Newcastle will be happy with that. Only lost once this season. It's another draw for them. For I think it's 3 victories, 2 draws and 1 defeat, but they keep ticking forward. They keep forming. St James's Park is never an easy place to play. And for Man City, it's again another draw, 2 draws on the bounce. They'll regroup and hope that in their next game they can come out with the win. Guys, hopefully you liked this video. Make sure to like, subscribe and comment, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.